Hello everyone and welcome to week 5 of the Lighthouse Keepers Lunch. So this is what we've been looking at for the last 5 weeks, and today we are going to do a sort of summary session of everything that we've been looking at in the book. So we're going to look at the lighthouse and where Mr. Grinling works. We're going to look at the shells and the seaweed and the seagulls and his lunch and all of it today, and we're going to pull it all together and make a dance with that, and then we'll read a little bit more of the story just to remind ourselves of what happened all the way through. So first of all, we're going to warm up, so let's come back into the space with me. And we are going to start with our honey pot. So pick up your honey pot, here we go. And we are going to tip the whole lot down our back. So here we go, ready? It's a big one. We're going to tip, tip, tip all the way down our back. Good, so we have a really, really sticky back now. Ooh, can you wiggle it around and make sure it's covered on your shoulders, your middle back, your lower back, so it's super sticky. And I want you to stick your back to something cold. Look around your room, and what is cold in your room? Now I'm going to go with my radiator because it's a very sunny day and I haven't got the heating on, so my radiator is very cold. It's made of metal, so when the heating's on it's warm, and when it's off it's very cold. Good. Unstick. Oh, can you stick your back to something that is very soft? What's soft in your room? And actually my floor, I've got a sort of carpet in here, so I'm going to stick my back to the floor. That's very soft. What can you find in your room? Good. Unpeel. Good. And can you stick your back to something that is red? Anything that's red in your room? I've got a bright red cushion here, so that's perfect. I'm going to sit in the corner and stick my back to something red. Great. Well done. Okay, pick up your honey pots. Now this is the balancing act. We've got to try and get our feet in our honey pots. Ooh, there we go. 1, 2. Try and get both of them in there. Okay, so first of all, can you stick your feet together? And if you're with someone else or with a few people, you can stick your feet together. Stick your feet to their feet. But if you're on your own like me, that's fine. You can just stick your feet together, like that. Very sticky. Great. Okay, the next thing. Can you stick your sticky feet to something white? What's in your room that's white? I've got a very white door, so I'm going to stick my feet here. What can you stick your feet to that's white in your room? Good. Unstick one at a time. Good. Stick your feet to something green. Ooh, green. I have my plant in the corner, so very gently I'm going to stick my feet to the leaves, but I don't want to break the leaves because it's quite fragile, so I'm just going to stick them to that plant. Well done. Unstick and grab your honey pot. Okay, this time, can you dip your elbows into your honey pot? Okay, and put that down. So we've got sticky elbows just here. Can you stick your elbows to each other? There we go. Stick your elbow to each other. You can make a funny V shape. Good. And if you're with someone else, you can stick your elbow to someone else's elbow, or maybe 2 elbows together. That's quite fun. But if you're on your own like me, you can just stick your elbows together. Good, well done. And can you stick your elbows to something that's very hard? Lots of hard things actually. This is very hard. I've got a little sort of shelf here that's made of wood. That's very hard. So I can stick my elbow to that one. And can you stick your elbow to something that is silver? Or if you can't find anything silver, grey, something like that. But I found, I've got a silver door handle here, so I'm going to stick my elbows to that. Okay, have you found something silver or grey? And unstick. Well done. Good. We are now going to play the bean game, which is a really fun game. So I'm going to call out different kinds of beans, and you you are going to show me what those beans are doing. So our first bean is our runner bean. So we're running on the spot. This is a warm-up. It's a good warm-up. We're a runner bean. Good. Can you show me a jelly bean? That we are made of jelly. We've got no bones in our body, and this is what would happen. We'd be all floppy and all over the place, wibbly wobbly. Can you show me a broad bean, which means very wide, like our wall shape? Very wide shape, very broad, well done. Stretch, and our jumping beans. Good, jump around the space. There we go, jumping beans. And finally, it's a very hot day. Let's be a baked bean. Ah, nice and stretched out in the sun, on the floor. So, let's put our listening ears on. Are we ready? Because I'm going to mix them up. Our first one is our jelly bean. Wibbly, wibbly, wobbly. All over the place. Like a jelly. What flavour jelly are you? I'm going to be strawberry. Yum. Into a jumping bean. Let's go. Jumping bean. Good. Into a broad bean. Stretch. Really wide. Well done. Into a baked bean, which is quite similar. We're doing the same shape but on the floor. So we're a baked bean, good. And into a runner bean, here we go. Running, 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 on the spot. Into a broad bean, into a jelly bean. Good, wobble, 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 into a jumping bean. Into a baked bean. Oh. Good. Well done. Good. So if you want to do that one again, you can wind this back and you can watch that and do that one again. If you want to move on, let's do some speeds, some different kinds of speeds. So we're going to go from 1 to 4, okay? 1 being very slow, slow motion, which is really hard, isn't it? It's the hardest one because you've got to think about every body part, but you've got to move quite slowly. Number 2 is a little bit faster. Okay, so not super slow motion. Number 3, getting back to sort of normal. You can move all over the place. You can stretch, you can jump, but you have to do it in this speed. And number 4 is pretty fast. So go as fast as you can in the space without hitting anything. Okay, so speeds 1 to 4, and I'm going to mix them up as well. Are you ready? Steady. Let's start with number 2. So quite far, slowish, but not super slow. Here we go. Good. Into number 3. Well done. And straight into number 4. Really fast. Try not to hit anything if you're in a small space like me. Good. And number 1. Straight down to number 1. Wow, that's quite a difference, isn't it? Good. Can you imagine you're pushing your way through some treacle and it's so thick and so sticky you can't move very fast at all. Okay, so from number 1 to number 3, that's quite fast compared to number 1, isn't it? But not mega fast like number 4. Okay, straight to number 4. Wow. Can you make some noises as well? Good. Okay, number 2. Nice, well done. Good, into number 1. And you're going so slowly, you're actually going to stop. Lovely, well done. Fantastic. So, I'm going to call out some words, and these words, we've been looking at these words throughout the last 4 weeks, and these are words that relate to the story of the Lighthouse Keepers Lunch. So our first word is going to be float. So we're floating, a bit like the seagulls. Do you remember? Before they dived down and went to see, went and stole the lunch, they're sort of floating in the air. Good. Okay, my second word is lighthouse. Can you show me a really strong lighthouse? Very strong, aren't they? Very tall, very narrow. Well done. Okay, can you show me a crashing wave? And we're going to stop just before it breaks. Good, and maybe we should crash down, because they roll waves, don't they? So we're going to go over and roll down. Good. Can you show me a shell? Do you remember our shell shape? It's like our ball shape as well, wasn't it? Very small, very round, very smooth. Great. Well done. I want you to put your hands together and we're going to do a dive. So these are the naughty seagulls again, where they dive just before they're about to grab the lunch. So it's quite a fast, sharp movement, that one, isn't it? Diving, I like that one. Okay, and then do you remember what we did before? They do a snap. Very strong, quite long beaks seagulls have. So we're going to do a snap like that. Good. And can we try seaweed? Do you remember seaweed was very twisty and very, very, sort of moved a bit in the water, but it gets a bit tangled up, doesn't it? So how twisty can we get? Good, so we are seaweed. And the last one, can you show me crunch? So we were looking at the food and the different words that relate to food and the lunch. And I thought crunch, that's quite a nice one. So we could be open and I'm going to go crunch, crunch. Good. Very nice, well done. Okay, give ourselves a shake, your arms and legs a shake, and let's have a look at the book again. So, what we'll do, we won't read the whole thing, but we're just going to have a look through to remind ourselves of the story. So, here we go, there are the seagulls. So, there was once a lighthouse keeper called Mr. Grinling, and he lived on the little white cottage on the cliffs, and every day he'd row his boat to the lighthouse on the rocks. And he'd clean and polish his light in sunshine or rain. There we go, he was sleeping at night and he'd hear the ships tooting and thanking him for cleaning the light so they could help find their way in the dark. And every morning Mrs. Grinling would make a lunch for him, clip it to the, put it in a basket, clip it to the rope and send it down all the way to the lighthouse. And this is the enormous lunch, do you remember? We've got seafood salad, sandwich, chicken, sausage and crisps, peach surprise, drinks and assorted fruit, iced sea biscuits. All of that. She clipped it to the basket and sent it down the line. But what happened? The seagulls caught it. Look, he's not happy about that, is he? Clear off, you varmints, he shouted. And they're joking around saying, oh, this is delicious, thanks very much. So they came up with a plan, but the plan didn't work. They decided to tie a napkin to the basket, but the seagulls just pulled it off again with their strong, snappy beaks. What's the next thing they did? They decided to put Hamish, their cat, in the basket. Did that work? No. That didn't work because Hamish felt too sick and he was a bit too scared. It was very high up, wasn't it, where he was. So that didn't work. What are they going to do? Mrs. Grinling comes up with a brilliant idea. Her idea was to use mustard in the sandwiches. Ooh. And do they like them? No. Ugh, yuck, said the seagulls. That worked. They're not going to disturb the lunch again, are they? So she did it again the next day. And they said, oh no, this is no good. We're going to have to go somewhere else. So then on the Saturday, she made a proper lovely lunch, which wasn't touched by the seagulls. And Mr. Grinling looked through his telescope and saw the seagulls stealing someone else's lunch. So not good for them, but fine for him. And there he is enjoying his lunch. So that's a sort of quick version of the story. And what we're going to do now is take some of the words throughout the whole book and we're going to make a dance phrase and we're going to try and put that together with different kinds of music, because I thought that would be quite fun. So the first shape we're going to do is we are going to make a lighthouse, because that's where it all began, didn't it? So let's make a very tall, strong lighthouse. Now you don't have to do the same as me. You can be very narrow. You could have a lighthouse line on the floor if you like. So it's a sort of that pin shape we talked about. But I'm going to be quite a tall lighthouse with quite a wide base as well, so super, super strong. Okay, the second one, we're going to make a boat. So we're going to go down and we're going to make our boat shape. Do you remember? Because he gets in his boat and then he rows across from the cottage all the way to the lighthouse. So we're going to make our boat shape. Good. The next one, we're going to make our twisty, tangly seaweed, because I love this one. So very twisty. Again, you can copy me or you can make up your own twisty shape. Okay, imagine your seaweed. What do you like as a piece of seaweed? Twisty, twisty, even your fingers maybe. Good, the next one, we're going to bring our hands together and we're going to dive like the seagulls. So we're going to swoop, swoop, swoop. And they come from very high to very low, very high to very low. Good. We're then going to spread out like the butter on Mr. Grinling's bread on his lunch. So I thought we'd do a really big spread out shape on the floor, as flat as you can. Squish, squish, squish into the floor. Good. So nice and spread out. And then from here we're going to do a spiral. I think in our very first lesson we thought about a staircase that went up inside the lighthouse. So we're going to go round, 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 all the way round till we get to the top. Good. And we're going to finish with a big crushing wave like that. Good. So let's try again from the beginning. So we go lighthouse, into the boat, into the seaweed, into the dive, into the spread, into the spiral, spiral stairs, keep going, keep going, keep going. Good, finishing with a big crushing wave. Good. Great, so I have chosen 3 pieces of music and they're very different from each other, and I thought it's quite fun to try dancing the same phrase to different pieces of music, because you can dance very differently and it might make you feel very different as well. So I thought that's quite a good experiment. We'll try that. So this is the first piece of music. We're going to do the same dance but to different pieces of music. Okay, so here we go, the first one. Okay, we'll do each phrase twice. How was that? Okay, so that's our first piece of music. Right, this is our second piece of music. I'm not going to say anything about it. Okay, and it can be a surprise because it's a little bit different. So let's do this twice again. So with our lighthouse. that was quite exciting, wasn't it? Right, I've got one more for you. This is our third piece, okay? Here we go. So we'll do the same dance twice again. Here we go. So they were three very different pieces of music, weren't they? If you want to, you can wind this back, you can wind the film back, have a look, and you can try the different music again. Maybe there's one you like more than the other two, and you can keep dancing to that one, because I think once you find a piece of music that you really love, it makes dancing even more fun, I think. So if you're on your own, have a think, how did that make me feel? I think the first one is quite fun. It was a banjo, which is like a sort of small guitar almost. And it's very energetic, and I felt it's quite fun doing that one. It was quite sort of lively. I really liked that one. The second one I thought was quite dramatic. And I felt like, it was a bit moody. And I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen, so I quite liked that one. And the third one was quite relaxing. I thought, especially with the dive, it was very relaxing doing that movement. I liked that one. I felt quite calm. So if you're with someone else, maybe pause me and have a chat. Have a chat if you're with someone else, or if you're an adult, or if you're with whoever you're with at the moment, and ask them how they felt, and you can tell them how you felt, and have a little chat about that, because it's really interesting, I think, isn't it? Okay. What we're going to do now is I've got one more piece of music, but we're going to do a bit of a cool down. So we're going to go back to our words that we looked at the beginning, when we looked at float and crunch and all those words. And I'm going to call out those words, but we're going to dance them quite slowly, sort of number 2. So it's not really slow, but it's a little bit faster than really slow, so number 2 speed. Okay, and I've got this lovely piece of music, so we can calm everything down. We can bring our breathing down, bring our minds nice and calm. Okay, back into the space to end the lesson. Okay, so this is the last one with our lovely cool down. Okay, so our first word, we're going to go into float. Okay, nice and slow. Keep breathing. bet that looked fantastic. Well done. Well, if you want to carry on with it, you can. Just wind that back and you can do those words again. It's such a lovely way to sort of slow down and calm everything down at the end of a lesson. Well done. I bet you've done some brilliant work today. Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed teaching these sessions. I've loved the book, and I think there's some really fun ideas that can come out of this. So well done, and keep dancing and enjoy it all. Thank you.